What's up, fellow lords of gaming, and welcome back to the channel. So today, jumping right back into Marvel Future Fight content and looking at Hope Summers. So I finally completed the Epic Quest, and I was hoping to see maybe some surprises with the Epic Quest, but overall, by and large, this is just a copy paste. And as you're going to probably realize in the days to come, as I produce content for Hope, Havoc, and Exodus, and then Mallet and Plari, it really is not worth it. I would say this is probably the most delayable Epic Quest that you could possibly have chosen out of them. There seems to be a following trend regardless. So for instance, if you were to look at Fate of Mankind, we followed Icarus, right? And he was supportable, not really. They kind of, did this one justice a little bit because Thena, Makari, these 2-3 characters were essentially good, and Cersei had some viability, but then these two characters kind of fell off really quickly, especially God, I can't remember his name. Anyways, doesn't make a difference. Dark Reign, we sort of saw the same thing. Sentry had some sustainability. Moonstone was definitely there. And then when you looked at Molecule Man, it was just, he was terrible by and writ large. And as we come through the rest of these characters, we've not seen or touched very, very much of these characters in a way. Green Goblin has had some shine moments, but that's more because of his connection to the Spider-Verse more than anything else. When we look at Galactic Empire, for instance, as well, we basically got Beta Ray Bill. He had his time to shine. We still have yet to come back. They gave us a tier 2 in the Epic Quest. Just keep that in mind. They still yet to come back and touch this man. If Nova Rider hasn't been touched at all either. Like, these are 2 characters from an Epic Quest that are still sitting at tier 2 and have not been touched and have had some prominence inside the comic book runs. Maybe not the MCU, but the comic book runs that was inside there. So hard to justify even like this one. Like, Peter Quill was this one that you followed through for this, and when you got him all the way to tier 3, it was the first of their sort. But even Peter Quill at tier 4, he's not necessarily like a tier 4 that anybody's going to tell you like rush off to go and get. We then look at Ruler of Latveria. We basically got Mr. Fantastic inside of here, which wasn't a bad one. You got Victorious, who's never been heard of and touched again in all of the years since. I don't know what the fuck they're waiting on for a Doctor Doom update inside of here. Maybe it's going to be a fantastic... Literally, I have no clue. Maybe there was some contractual issue, but Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman, Victorious were there. Mr. Fantastic has had some lead at the combat male role, especially since he has hero and supervillain role. You can switch out with uniforms for him. X-Force obviously was a clone of Cable, and we sat on waiting this dude for forever. I mean, I don't know how many years went by where we just essentially waited for Strife. And then you had Deadpool and Cable inside there, who obviously these were fan favorites, and they've been touched over and over and over again. So despite the fact that Cable took us forever to get and is still only a tier 3, still probably a justifiable Epic Quest there. Then we looked at Rise of the X-Men. Obviously Jean Grey and Magneto sitting inside of here. Magneto's probably one of the only Epic Quest Deluxe characters that have really been given any kind of hype, and like, he's worth. Obviously Jean Grey is always going to be worth. Maybe with Madeline Pryor they'll T4 her in the mid-month and we won't, but I think what's her name, the mutant, Speed Mutant, Mystique was pushed as the data mine mutant, and then you basically had Doctor Strange, who was there, and that's pretty much it. It's just Doctor Strange and his Epic Quest story. But this one, by and large, to say that it was pretty much worthless. I would say that this is a completely missable update that they could have really had some shine on inside this update, and they had every bit of opportunity to make this update work and make it something. I mean, sorry, I did want to show you one last thing. I want to point it out, like, for instance, even with the Epic Quest, when you look at the rewards that they're giving for the Epic Quest, I want to compare something for you. So if I go to like the story modes here, the crystals are nice, right? Those are all good and dandy. But I want you to notice that they're giving Norn stones of energy. Now, if you do the daily log thing that's inside there every day, you'll notice that inside of there, they basically the daily log, one of the questions always comes up, which items are not needed in order to tier 3 a character. Now keep in mind that tier 3 has been around the game for quite some time, and that's like the base level for what you want to at least see characters coming in tier 3 or tier 4, right? Especially at this point, that's the base. Northstone of energies, regardless of what they are, aren't even needed for updating your character anymore at this point, realistically. And this is a reward that is sitting inside of the epic quest. That alone should give you pause and reason to question, why the hell am I purchasing this thing, and why is it costing 1100 crystals, regardless of the fact that there are crystals give back inside of their Northstone of energies. Meanwhile, if I jumped into like Tower of God, if I jumped into Black Clover or something like that, rewards that are being given in there for me not paying for anything in a full-on gacha game are crystals and things like that. And I think at this point, even I have to start, saying with some of the free-to-play players who are in here, even your daily check-in, those rewards haven't been updated in forever. And regardless of what mode you're playing inside Marvel Future Fight, that seems to be the problem, is seems to be a lack of understanding about rewards. What rewards am I getting? Why am I still getting dimension shifter chances instead of just getting my dimension shift character and having to deal with that luckiness every day? Why is, the rewards that are sitting behind some of the events inside here still things like Mcron shards that are rarely, if ever, used at this point? Why is it that we're still getting ESOs, 3 and 4 star ESOs at this point in the game instead of just 5 and 6 star? It cries. So anyways, let's jump out of here and I can show you a little bit more why this update kind of falls flat. So okay, Hope Summers is sitting inside the game now. Combat mutant hero. I basically showed you guys this before with the update. Look, I've seen some people try to hype this up now at this point, and I cannot justifiably hype this up. Like I said to you guys before, regardless of what did you want us to do to break it down, let's remove her from the mutant list. I said it to you in my impression video. She didn't have a mountain to climb. In order to be meta for the combat female superhero, period, she didn't have a mountain to climb. These are the combat female superheroes that she essentially had to be better than, and it ain't a fucking almighty list. Like when you look at the list here, Nebula was our meta hero in here, and that was basically with the uniform she had. So you didn't have a long way for her to climb. So when I see people making videos talking about how Hope is meta right now and she's ground over, like, it's ridiculous. Let's be honest. This is not like the blast category. This is not the universal category. This is like combat female hero. This is the list that she had to climb. It wasn't a huge hill to climb. I mean, to be better than Sif, Valkyrie, and Nebula was going to be accomplishable every day of the week. They could have made Nebula took over the spot, and it wasn't like Nebula's uniform was that damn great. Nebula took over the spot. I mean, they haven't even given shine to their own OG character Crescent in forever. She still hasn't received a T4 in 2023 despite Luna and Sharon receiving this. She-Hulk is still sitting at tier 3 and her uniform wasn't even that great, so much so that what's this chick's name? Titania took over the spot for a while. So like, it wasn't that big of a hurdle to climb. Like, it just wasn't. So to talk about her being meta, please, let's stop it already. It really wasn't. So then we look at Hope, and let's take a look at her skills. One of the things I want you guys to pay attention to is specifically the build. You notice everything is capped on Hope. I've got her at reduced cooldown, critical damage, crit rate, attack speed, and dodge, all maxed out. And the reason why that is to do with a character like Hope is because, or any character in the game, is basically down to all of the methods in which they've broken up the heroes to be built. So whether you go to ESOs, cards, swords, team up collection, shield archives, and your agent bonuses, you can pretty much max out characters now by and writ large easily. One of the reasons primarily that we used to look at getting characters was uniforms, and why it was so crucial to get a character uniform was because you were essentially looking at a character like Hope Summers, and you were going to know that she was going to come in, she was going to be detrimental, she's going to act in decrement a little bit, because some of those things without the uniform bonuses were going to be hard to reach. Now she doesn't even have a uniform, and because of all of the bevy of things that they've put in the game, I can basically split, which kind of reduces the need for the uniforms now, as long as you're at that in-game stage where you have, you know, an account that can hold the stats by and large. Like my cards, I hate to say this, my cards mostly take up handling all of the stats. This is my cards. It's not the greatest card deck. I don't want to sit here and pretend like that. Like you can see, like if you went to Cynic Alex or something like that, you'll see like this is like almost 100%. You know, it all depends on what you're able to get, because like, you know, especially if you're free to play, you're rolling, you can see I'm still not even at 25% pierce damage. I could be, like I was building card deck number 2, and I have a blue card deck over here for Guardians, but I'm building out this card deck number 2 to be a replacement to my card deck number 1. So you can see how it's a replaceable gimmick inside here, basically. So that way, like I said, this is leaning more towards, with all the diversified systems, reasons why they need to start looking at making these uniforms transmoggable, so that way you're just purchasing uniforms because you like them, because there's something new and fun to the game, and that they add maybe, you know, some optimization features to the characters, because all they're doing at this point is optimizing. I've got nothing on her in terms of Uru except just the physical attack Urus. I've always told you guys, when you're building a character, go inside their skills, look at what they are, and then you want to put at least 2 of those Uru on the character. Now if you plan on tier 3 and tier 4, and you best believe you should amplify these slots, and you should put at least 5 Urus in them. If it's a favorite character, then drop some Odin's Blessings on them. Her skills, I've leveled out all her skills just to make it available. Her type, I've gotten into rank 5. I'm not going to really push her for rank 6, just because like I don't envision playing this character. I've got a Power of Angry Hulk on her. I don't have the artifact. She does have a very good artifact, so if you can acquire it, then, you know, by all means, like get that artifact, because like I think hers has probably like one of the better ones, I think it is, in the game. So where's she at? She's right here. So her passive, I guess this was just a copy paste one. So like, yeah, you don't need to get it. I think it was Madeline Pryor and Rachel that had the good artifacts. Yeah, because they both had the she had the immortal artifact, and she had the revival artifact on there. So it's those two. My fault. And then Exodus is a good one too, because it makes him a support character, which should let you know anything about that character. Custom gears, I've just basically thrown a CTP of Rage on her. That's it. Just a CTP of Rage, just to have it. And I can tell you right now that the crit rate and dodge that's coming with the CTP didn't really factor into my character being maxed out. So let's take a look at her skill preview real quick, so that way we know exactly how she's handling with the skills. So practice combo up. Now, before let's end this practice, I will say that by and large, I don't mind. Like, it's one of the things that reason why I constantly say the MFR team is basically behind Marvel Future Revolution now, is because like the VFX team is doing their job. Let's be honest about it. The VFX team is knocking it out the park in terms of like the way they're pushing out character content, and that's the part that really irks me a little bit, is that they're doing their job. The people that are doing the other pieces to it, or however that works, whatever the assembly line practice looks like there, that's the part where I'm missing out on. So like it's not that the characters, the designs don't look good. It's not that the skills don't look good. It's that the way we're being given games, they're missing the point. So basically we got a 2, 5, 3, 4 combo. So we're gonna go 2, delay cancel, 5, 3, and then 4, and delay cancel into 4. And that's basically your off tier, your off transcendence inside of the game. So then we're gonna go 6, 2, 5, 3, 4. So it's just gonna be 6, 2, delay cancel 5, 3, and then delay cancel 4. And that's basically your you know, your what you call it. Now I'm gonna sit here and tell you that I did see Cynic Alex video on Hope Summers, and he was able to get more hits out of her by delay canceling a little bit more. Here was my problem with Cynic Alex doing it. He's not, he will say to you that he's probably not the best player for like these things, but I want to be honest about this. I have played with so many players through Giant Boss Raid, and I understand the fact that most players are not digging into the skills the way that they really need to be digging to learn how to play characters. So to have a character where you're adjusting off of even just, because most people aren't even looking at this, which they should be, 2, 5, you know, 3, and then 4 is not the biggest difficult thing to freaking do, but most people aren't even looking at that. Like, it's that bad when you look at people trying to pilot the characters. So 2, 5, 3, and then delay cancel 4. It's a very quick delay cancel, especially going from 3 to 5, 3 to 4. So let's take this character for a spin inside of World Boss Legend, and you'll get to see. So what I'm going to do with her is I want to go inside World Boss Legend, and I want to play with her on simple stage 2, but I want to do it with Gore. Okay. So I'm going to do it with Gore. He's a universal character. Him and Jean Grey and King are probably like really good testable characters. So this is what I'm going to set her up with. I'm going to use her own leadership, right? Because she does have a 30% leadership that you have on the character, and you can see here like the uniform effect is none, but you can see she basically gives her own self buffs, 35% to physical attack, and then she gets the mutant allies basically increase all basic attacks by 30. She doesn't get the one from Cable, obviously, because it goes to Cable, and I don't know how that necessarily works. I think Cable only gets to 70%. But anyways, so you see there, she's got her leadership. So I'm basically going to use Valkyrie, right? Valkyrie gives the all allies the ignore targets dodge rate, which she doesn't really need because she already has it in her kit. But I'm just doing it mainly for the supervillain faction damage that she gives, and then the same for Mystique, right, who's more than likely from the data mine getting a tier 4 inside this update, despite Madeline Pryor, and maybe even, well, just Madeline Pryor, I guess, from the update. I think Madeline would be the best to T4 in the mid-month, and then probably Hope would have been a T4 worthyable character coming in after that. So let's take a look. We're just going to go with a basic leadership that I just basically have for some supervillain faction damage when attacking. That was always the popular way to go. And so we can take a look at Gore in here. So we've got enough ignore target dodge rate to basically do some things, and we'll take a look. Now I'm only on stage 2. The reason why I'm only on stage 2, I repeat this plenty of times for you guys, is the fact that most players don't need to go past stage 2, especially if you're just a casual player, you're not trying to rank up through the levels. It's easy to just play stage 2 to get the daily rewards and then move right along. That's basically it. So we're going to go inside here, Gore. I'm going to dodge this initial because I can tell you right now, if I get hit by that, it's going to be a lot of damage. So I just wanted to show you the regular combination, and what I wanted to show you is this. Notice her health. She is down on health bad. Like, all her damage, I did the normal combination rotation so that way you could see essentially with the character, right? You're gonna have to, like, for your average player, she's not gonna really be a good character. She's gonna have some really rare varying mileage, specifically because most of her damage doesn't come on her 2, 5, 3, 4 combination. You can see here, it's like she's like at a 7 right now, right? Most of her damage, and boom, she's hit, she's dead. Most of Hope's damage is coming on her her transcendent skill. That's where it's all at. Like, all the damage is just sitting inside the transcendent skill, and that's a problem because that means that you're basically tagging and running the character through levels basically against, you know, like a character like Gore or Phoenix. You're going to be waiting for that the animation to come up. Like, I'm going to sit inside it so you can see she almost takes half damage in there, which, you know, is a lot. Wow, missed that one completely and died. Like, I just want you to be aware. Like, what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to play the character completely like, you know, how I've seen people play characters in the game. And with a character like this, who's going to be the mid-month, you know, even Moonstone, I don't think was getting clapped this hard in terms of like, you know, survivability. Like, this is a physical attack character, a physical attack character that doesn't seem to necessarily be able to, like, you know, hold her own in terms of taking a hit. So there you can basically see like survive. Oh shit, got caught and I'm just getting hit. So I'm getting caught, I'm running around, I've got 16 seconds, wait for his slam down, and then I'm gonna go back in with my 2, 5, 3, 4, and like there's some damage there, but like we've got better characters doing this. And she's not taking the hits. She can't stay in the fight. Boom, gets hit one time and it's a wrap. Now, can I avoid those hits and kite around and do things like that? 100% you can. But that's the problem, is that like I don't want to feel like with a combat type character that I'm like a glass cannon, because by combat's character nature alone, I don't really want to be kiting. I want to be smashing, and Hope just isn't good at that. So is she going to be good inside of World Boss Legend? I think yes, there's going to be varying mileage depending on player skill with the character, but she doesn't really feel like Moonstone. She doesn't really feel like, you know, some of the characters that we've had. And look at that. She doesn't feel that great in terms of like, you know, this is where I'm at with this character. Like it's weird. I was expecting a little bit more of a powerhouse since she was the you know, exclusive character, but overall I can't say that she's bad. She definitely has some good damage output, but she definitely feels a little bit like a glass cannon, not being able to take a hit, especially the fact that, you know, going through her normal rotation here of 2, 5, 3, 4 is doing like decent enough damage. But remember, this is stage 2, so she's like doing something, but it's just not enough for me to feel like, hey, Jesus, I knew that was gonna come as soon as I ran over to him. It's not that great. Like, the bottom line is like, is this the character that you need to be rushing through to pay $7,750 in crystals worth doing? No, I hate to say that, but no, not really. Like, is she's going to be serviceable, and make no doubts, you're going to see players of higher skill level use her to probably clear content way higher than this. But remember as well that she's operating at an extreme deficiency inside of World Boss Legend, with only being a transcendent character and fighting up basically against universal type characters in the game in the first place. It's just a place where I feel like there could have been more done, and there could have been better. Like I showed you in the beginning the video of the epic quest for the other characters for a reason. If you remember, even with Magneto, for as much love as he got prior to him receiving his tier 4, it wasn't as if though Magneto was sitting in the cream of the crop. Like he required some skill in play. There wasn't there. The one standout in the epic quest was literally Moonstone, who was just an absolute beast in the meta for the longest period of time as a blast type female. But like I said, pay attention to when you see some people comparing this character, because it is important to note, and it is very important. Like I said, combat female was not a huge hurdle to climb. Nebula was the highest in there, so her Hope sitting there wasn't the highest. Never mind that in 2024, with the only MCU movie to be releasing, which is going to be Deadpool, is X-23 could be receiving an update inside of this year. And guess what? X-23 already has a transcendence skill in her kit, which means that she could possibly receive a tier 4. So I don't know that that's necessarily going to happen, but we do know Wolverine, Deadpool are teaming up in the movies, or they're going to be together in the movie. Could X-23 be there? Likely. So you could essentially almost end up with X-23 replacing Hope Summers with their consistency and their track record to essentially just forget about Epic Quest characters. So just pay attention to that. Like I said, it wasn't the hugest mountain to climb. Like I said, even with inside of the, we can bear this down to even further. She didn't have a huge hurdle, because the only comparison that she had inside of that was going to be against X-23. That was it. X-23 and Hope Summers and combat mutant females. and it wasn't the hugest hurdle. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Is she a fun character? Yes. Is she going to be a character that is going to be absolutely meta breaking? If you're just concerned about ABX, 100%, you know, she's definitely going to be you know, groundbreaking in terms of that. But I want you to be very aware. If you go through the days where she is going to 100% be needed, they are few and far in between. Look at the rounds inside of here. From round 1, do you need a combat female? No, you don't. Round 2, combat female? No, you don't. Combat female? No, you don't. Combat superhero here is when you finally need a combat character on stage 4. Do you need her? No, you don't. So if you keep going down the list and just looking for a combat day where you're basically gonna need a combat female hero, you are going to be sadly disappointed to understand that there are probably going to be better options than Hope on those days where you would use her. I can basically point out to you maybe 1 or 2 times inside this whole list where you need to have a combat female character. And that's just the God's honest truth. So she's gonna have very limited mileage. Just think about that in terms of you're basically right now at this point, you've got better options at combat days. Is she gonna be needed inside World Boss Legend for the combat superhero days as well? I don't remember seeing that many combat inside World Boss Legend, but I'd have to go through because I don't really push hard that very high. And to be honest with you, I don't think most players really want to push that high. So just think about that. There's going to be limited mileage there. I would literally say probably hold off on that 7,700 crystals, especially if you're looking at some of the other Epic Quest packs that you really want to purchase in. That's just my thoughts about it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, peace.